in the chat. Please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat if you choose, while we continue to admit people to the meeting. Tell us where you're joining us from today. I am Patty Baskin. I'm the current convener of C4DISC, and today we'll be reminding you about the mission of C4DISC, as well as how we work and are governed and what we have been up to since our last community meeting. Most importantly, we will take any questions you have and hopefully encourage you to get involved. The next slide. We want to remind you of the C4DISC Code of Conduct and provide some guidance on how the meeting will be conducted. This Zoom has been arranged as a meeting and not a webinar, which gives you access to your video and microphone. Please keep your microphone muted unless you are invited to speak. We encourage you to submit questions and suggestions in the chat at any time. 2 of our steering committee members will be monitoring the chat and will help facilitate responding to questions during the discussion at the end. This session is being recorded. We will stop recording for the Q&A, and discussion and chat will not be made public. Share out comments will be made available to steering committee members only. The link to the meeting recording will be sent to all registrants via email and placed online. Next slide. This is how our meeting will run today. We will talk a little about C4DISC and what's happened since we had our last annual meeting, the 25-26 financials, getting involved, and then our Q&A and discussion. Next slide. So, why did we form? The coalition was formed in 2017 by 10 founder organizations to discuss and address issues of diversity and inclusion within our industry. Working collectively, we're able to combine our resources and have a greater impact. The mission of C4DISC is to work with organizations and individuals to build equity, inclusion, diversity, and accessibility in scholarly communications. The vision of C4DISC is a socially just community that welcomes, values, and celebrates all who seek to contribute to scholarly communications. The values of C4DISC include respect through valuing differences and welcoming diverse perspectives, listening to learn from different communities and make space for marginalized voices, and acting to eliminate barriers and be an ally. Next slide. This is a brief history of C4DISC from setting up formally to forming the joint statement of principles and launching our first toolkits. I'm not going to read this slide to you with the timeline across the years. Remember, we will share these slides so you can review any details later. Next slide. This slide offers a summary level of some of the major things we were focused on more recently, since 2023. We'll share a bit more detail soon. Briefly, we held our first community meeting in 2024, and today we want to catch up with you since then. We've launched more toolkits, we've surveyed our community, and launched our community of practice. So again, you'll be able to look at these in more detail in the slides that we provide. Each year, C4DISC welcomes a new convener and treasurer from the steering committee. In July, I will hand over the convener baton to Rebecca McLeod. The treasurer changes from Gillian Harrison-Kane to Melanie Schlosser. C4DISC has 2 part-time staff, Vanessa Evers, managing administration, and Bernie Folan, looking after communications. These are each 0.25 FTE equivalent roles. Next slide. We currently have 11 members and 25 partners. The support from our community has been encouraging and is a testament to the commitment scholarly communications professionals are prepared to make to advancing DEIA issues. We'll add a link to our members in the chat so you can see the steering committee representatives from each member. Our current members include ALSP ALPSP, Association of University Presses, Canadian Association of Learned Journals, Council of Science Editors, Library Publishing Coalition, Lyrasis, NASIG, SciELO, Society for Scholarly Publishing, STM, and UKSG. Next slide, please. Here's a list of the representatives on the steering committee from each one of those organizations. And it's important to note that every member organization has a seat on the steering committee. So if you don't see your organization represented, check with them. We've completed our round of strategic planning up until this point, and we'll review for 2027. Next slide. And here's a list of our partners. So I won't read all these. We have 3 levels: gold, silver, and bronze, along with an honorary partner, which is PubPub, now called Knowledge Futures. Because PubPub hosts the toolkits on their platform, complementary to us. And then we also have a long list of organizations who've adopted our statement of principles. You can go onto our website to see that list. Next slide. And this slide just shows member growth, member and partner growth since 2023 to the present. So we have had 7 new members or partners since 2023. And now the incoming treasurer, Melanie Schlosser, will address C4Disc finances.
Hey everyone, I'm Melanie Schlosser. I'm the community facilitator for the Library Publishing Coalition, and I actually stepped into the treasurer role mid-year this year. The C4Disc fiscal year is the same as the program year, which is July to June. So we are just finishing up this fiscal year. So what I'm sharing on this slide is the approved budget for this fiscal year, which is almost over. But just to give you a sense of what our budget looks like. All of our income comes from dues from members and partners. And this year that came to $76,800. Expenses are, so there's 2 different kinds of expense lines here. As with most organizations and communities, our biggest line is staffing at around $30,000. All of these are somewhat rounded. We also have about $10,000 in various admin, accounting, and hosting fees, all of which go to or through the Association of University Presses, which is the fiscal host for this community. And then there are a number of lines there in italics. So program support, marketing, volunteer honoraria, and a miscellaneous. This is what was allocated in those lines this year, but we will not spend anywhere near that much. And I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. We approved a budget that basically broke even, including putting $17,300 in our operating reserve. So you'll see in the budget, their income matches the expenses, although that's not likely to be the case. Next slide. So we have a very, very healthy operating reserve. We currently have $235,000 in the bank, which those of you who are quick at arithmetic might notice is almost 4 years of expenses, that's a really big operating reserve for a nonprofit scholarly community. And as I mentioned in the last slide, we are basically underspending. So we have been putting a lot in our operating reserve. We have not been spending a lot of the money that we allocate for programming, mostly just because the work that we have been doing has been all done by volunteers. The programming that we've been doing requires staff time and leadership time and community volunteer time, but not actually a lot of money. So that means that we have sort of realized that we are chronically underspending our income as a community. So this is something that the steering committee is going to be thinking about and talking about this year, and working to kind of readjust to make sure that we are bringing in an appropriate amount and then spending an appropriate amount in furtherance of our mission and vision. We have not yet started that conversation. That's going to happen in the next program year. But there are a number of possible approaches that we could take to aligning our budget with our activities. So pay attention to this, because we're going to do a poll in just a second, just to like get a quick kind of sense from those of you who are here of which of these you would be most interested in us exploring. So some options for aligning our budget with our activities include reducing membership and partnership fees. Maybe we just don't need to bring in as much money as we have been in order to further our mission. Expanding our programming, which would probably involve bringing on more staff, either permanent or contract or temporary, because the staff are kind of at capacity with the stuff that we're doing now. Increasing outreach, for example, by attending and presenting at conferences. That's something that we could theoretically be putting resources into. And then finally, we could look at the possibility of re-granting some of our funds to other organizations and projects. All of these are complicated. All of these would require a lot of discussion and sort of figuring out the logistics. But we just want to know from you here, which of these kind of are most aligned with what you would like to see C4DISC do going forward. So Vanessa, can you throw our poll out for the attendees? Okay, and this is, can people choose more than one, or do they have to choose one?
I believe I set it up to where they can choose more than one, but if you're saying that you can't, please put anything that you see that you can't do in the chat.
Okay. So we're just on question 1 right now. And yeah, also feel free to drop comments in the chat, and we can also talk about this when we get to our Q&A and discussion portions. I just want to give you all a minute to think about this and drop in your poll answers. Keep dropping your answers in. I will note that the first answers to come in, I'm seeing a lot more support for expanded programming and outreach, which is exciting. So yeah, can we keep the poll open while we move on, or do we have to close it to go back to the slides?
I'm gonna share screen again and let me know if the poll goes away.
Great. Okay. Looks like we are able to leave that open. So I am going to, that was the end of the treasurer section. Again, feel free to drop questions or comments in the chat, but I'm going to hand it off to, I think, Bernie for this next section. Is that right?
I'm gonna speak to what we've been up to.
Got it.
And I'm going to keep my camera off because I'm moving my eyes a little bit, and I don't want folks to think that I'm not present. But this is Vanessa Evers speaking. I probably have emailed some of the folks on this call but I'm the community administrator. And so the things that we've been up to, we've expanded community engagement through annual meetings, community of practice, which Bernie will speak more about. We've done surveys of member-focused programming, advanced DEI resources through toolkits, which we'll talk a little bit more about in the next couple of slides, and through development, revisions. We've done some really great translations, both to toolkits and to presentations, publication, workflows of long-term sustainability planning, strengthen organizational capacity through government, improvements, financial oversight, leadership succession planning, and staffing evaluations. We've also enhanced communications and outreach through community development, member value propositions, and engagement strategies, and increased global participation and accessibility through international outreach, multilingual resources, and representation focused initiatives. And these are things that our steering committee members have helped us to either lead or to help to support those initiatives. And now we'll have Bernie speak more about the toolkits.
Hi,
I think it's
that is
Patty.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bernie. That'll be Patty.
Yes. So we have 2 new toolkits have been developed and posted since our last community meeting. These include the toolkit for disability equity in scholarly communications and the focus toolkit for journal editors and publishers, building DEIA in editorial roles and peer review. You can find them at c4dis.org. They join the earlier toolkits, which you can find via our site or directly on PubPub. Those include the inclusive language and imagery guidelines for scholarly communications, the anti-racism toolkit for Black, Indigenous, and people of color, the anti-racism toolkit for organizations, and the anti-racism toolkit for allies. Currently, 2 toolkits are being updated: the toolkit for allies, which will be posted this summer, and the inclusive language and imagery guidelines. We do have Spanish and Portuguese translations that are in the process of being posted on PubPub. Next slide, please. Yeah, both of the latest toolkits feature custom artwork, which is beautiful. And this slide just contains some examples from the new toolkits that on PubPub. So please go to these toolkits, avail yourself of the knowledge and the lovely artwork, and think of ways that you can apply them to your own organizations. And next, Bernie will report on the C4DIS community of practice.
Thank you, Patty, and everyone. And welcome to those who've just joined us. I just saw the numbers jump up a little bit. So the community of practice was formed following a survey to our community, I think it was 2023. And one of the key messages that came out of that was that people really wanted to learn from each other, share best practice, share resources, as well as hear about challenges and successes, and think about cross-industry initiatives, coordinate effort. And this last point about speaking with one voice to increase effectiveness was a big message that came out of there. So it's a community of a peer-to-peer community. Currently, there are 306 members. It's growing very gradually. We add a few members join each month. I'll put a link into the chat with some information about the community in a moment. But you just need to fill in a very short form if you wish to join. If you haven't already joined, there's no obligation to attend calls. But if you are free and there's a call, you are very welcome to join us. We have bi-monthly calls, thematic calls. So we have a working group of volunteers who help keep the community of practice going. And a subset of those look at all of the ideas that have come in from community members and decide which themes to explore. And we have one meeting a year where we leave open without a theme for people to just kind of gather and share whatever they wish to. So calls average about 25 to 35 maybe attendees. It's always slightly different. And we just have we have a breakout rooms based conversation, and then all come together to kind of share key takeaways, and then we share a summary of an anonymized summary of the group notes document that we use. And if we can go on to the next slide. So we've had 12 calls. I think maybe we might have had 13 or 14. I counted 12 since we began, and we've had a mix of new and returning attendees each time. So that's quite good because there's people who kind of know the lay of the land, and then there's always some new people, which is nice. And we get lots of people from university libraries, publishing, and then other and services, and then the main groupings. And too many topics to mention, but we've included a range of different topics, some relating to policy, some to development of services, and identity and well-being at work, and others. So here's just I won't read through this, but you can see a few kind of illustrative topics. And so people, I guess, jump on when they have a particular interest in something, or they're free. We're varying the days of the calls this year to make it easier for people who have blocks on certain days. And the next call is on July the 8th, and that's on measuring impact and driving accountability in DEI, looking at data metrics and continuous improvement. So I think that's all I have to say. So I'll move on to whoever is next. And that's Paolo, who's going to talk about a community survey that's still open. And I'm going to put a couple of links in the chat to the community of practice. And one final thing I want to say is that even though we have quite a large group of volunteers, due to everyone being crazy busy, we always are looking for more volunteers. So if you'd like to just come and help us a little bit, run those calls, you're very welcome to get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie. So many of you probably have seen some of our surveys already. We just recently released one in May 2026. So this is a survey to all our members, partners, and the wider community, of course. So this survey is really meant for us to get feedback on how to better serve our communities. It is also used for programming and resource development. So one of the things that we're really looking at is to get everyone's feedback, kind of ideas and thoughts when it comes to how they can and how we as an organization can better serve you all as an organization, as our community. And we're going to look into all of these results and to kind of get the feedback to get more information and kind of ideas on what kind of programming that we will be doing for the next year or two. So the survey is still open. We are going to keep it open until the end of June. And we will share a link to you all via chat if you are wanting to fill out the survey. And we really encourage you to do so and also share that with your community as well. All right, on the next slide. So these are just some of the preliminary results that we currently received from our respondents. So right now we are looking at some of the impact of C4DIS. So there are positive impact mostly through toolkits and guidelines. Organizations are actively using C4DIS toolkits and DEIA guidelines to shape their own practices and internal DEIA policies. So several respondents said that this keeps DEIA up front. So basically, front of the mind of everyone at the organization or has had deep impact. It also creates community and professional development value. A lot of our respondents, several of them, have emphasized the networking benefits, of course, connectedness with the larger scholarly communication community, and it also creates awareness, amplification. So, awareness on how our community peers are handling DEIA work. So, we're learning a lot from each other as well as a community. There's also some limited or unclear impact as well. So some of this that we need to kind of take a look at to make sure that we are providing information, but also providing outreach and programming to better serve our community. So there's some, we're not really sure what would be the impact of C4DIS on relevant programs within the organization, and also engagement within C4DIS as well. Right now, it's still unclear. For example, there are a lot of individuals that are involved with see for this, but maybe there's a lack of engagement when it comes to an organization as a whole. So that's something that we're going to take a look into further. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we also ask is the kind of work within the organization, the DEIA work. Good news is that majority of our organizations are committed to their DEIA work. So organizations right now are primarily looking into their internal initiatives, especially when it comes to staff development. Externally, they're also looking into revising policies and procedures. So, for example, in publishing workflows. So those are the things that our organizations are looking into. Now, moving forward, when it comes to DEIA work, our respondents are also looking into assessment tools, published guidelines, and practical case studies. So this helps further their work within their organizations. And we're definitely going to take a look at that as well. All right, on the next slide. The other thing that we also has, and we have actually multiple questions in this survey, but this is the last thing that I want to share with you all is the preliminary result. One of the things that we also ask is just the current response to the political climate in the US, right? So a good thing is that our organizations are continuing their DEAA programs and initiatives. So not many organizations are changing the way they're working when it comes to DEIA. Some are also looking at perhaps changing or aligning their DEIA terminologies, for example, or just reviewing their DEIA programs and initiatives. So we still have a lot of information and responses to go through. And of course, we're waiting for additional responses as well, especially if you all are filling out the survey. So we are going to take a look at this survey results in the next month, just to make sure that we are putting everything together and that we are going to be sharing this with you as well. All right, and I think that's it for me on our community survey. And I believe the next one will be, is it Melanie or Bernie?
Me, this is me. Thanks,
Yeah,
Paolo.
thank you, Bernie.
Um, thank you. So yeah, just finally before we move into kind of Q&A and any discussion, ways to get involved. So you can sign up for C4Dis news alerts on our website. You can share your working group suggestions as well as apply. I'm just putting a link in the chat. So at that link, you can volunteer to help out on a working group, or you can actually suggest a new project or working group. So go ahead and put your thinking cap on, because there might be something you think we should be tackling. You can join the community of practice, as already mentioned. And also let us know about your DEIA events. We would like to know what's going on so that we can amplify anything that's related to DEIA and scholarly communications. And also, we're hoping to share some more short practical case studies in the future. So if you have something that you've done in your organization that you think would be worth sharing with others to help them develop similar or learn some lessons, then go ahead and get in touch. You can get in touch with Vanessa or myself, and we'll put our email. Vanessa's just put her email address in the chat there. So that's the easy one, c4disc@gmail.com. And we will look at what you've got to say. And yeah, remember to adopt our statement of principles if you haven't already. And of course, you're very welcome to join us as a member or partner. And always share your ideas. We are a community, so we really, really want to hear from you. Thank you. Over to Melanie.
I think, yeah, we can turn off the recording now. Vanessa?
Believe that people have already gone through the questions in the poll.
Oh, yeah. Vanessa, can you turn off the recording?
Yes.